So today I'm looking at some more plugins. This plugin, the Rabbit Tape by Safari Pedals. What is the Rabbit Tape, you may ask? It's basically an emulation of two tape recorders, a reel-to-reel and a cassette tape recorder. I think it's an Ampex 440B 1-inch reel-to-reel and a Porter Studio cassette, like a 4-track. And it's looking at sort of drive and modulation you get with it. So all tapes, you get some flutter, some wow and flutter, like it's called here as well. So tape modulation, you also get tape saturation from running the input really hot, running the output really hot. This is what all this looks at. Now, I should also mention right from the start, this was given to me by Safari Pedals, so this is what you would call a sponsored video. But all my opinions are my own, and really make up your own opinions. Watch it, and you have opinions that you can make up. And if you have opinions, let me know in the comments below. Also, if there's anything in specific you want me to do with this, or pair it up with something else, let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can do more videos with this. Now, the Rabbit Tape. Let's quickly first up look at the layout, right? So we've got the reel-to-reel tapes up here. We've got presets. Now this is pre-release when I'm filming this, so there could be more or slightly different preset once it comes out, but these are the presets I have anyway. You can save presets, you can trash presets. You've got, like with all Safari pedals, which I should mention right from the start, I love the way they look. I'm a sucker for how they look. Great design, great looking ones. You have these sort of little LEDs as you click on them that turns things on and turns things off. You have the VU meter here. So you've got bypass, you've got auto gain. Auto gain basically means like this, with it off, you can turn your input and output separately up and down like this. Depending on where the input is, the output sort of it matches it, the gain stage automatically. You have oversampling if you want it to sound a little bit maybe higher quality, but then sometimes maybe you don't want the high quality, so oversampling. You've got the grid control, which is basically your drive kind of control. You can select the reel-to-reel or the cassette. And you can turn the grid on and off as well. And you've got the wow and flutter. So this is sort of modulation. You also have a blend control. And now this, I have two instances of it. I'm using Genome as my amplifier, which we'll go through in a second. But I have an instant where I run it in front and after the amplifier. Now the in front one is mono to stereo, which doesn't have a blend control. After it's stereo to stereo, which means I have a width control as well. Did I say blend before? I meant width. So the other instance that's before Genome doesn't have a width control, but we look at a width control, timestamps for everything. Okay, now setup-wise, I've got my Fender Aerodyne Special made in Japan in lovely, lovely. Isn't it lovely? How lovely is that color? It's called California Blue. It's an Aerodyne Special Telecaster. You can watch a video for it up here, which I like a lot. Now from here, that goes via my Peterson Strobostomp HD tuner, which is always on my desk, straight into the front of my Audient ID44 interface, into the DI input up the front. I did a video a little while ago, and you can watch it up here. About all the different terms. You've got DI, you've got mic, line, instrument, all that sort of stuff that may give you slightly different results in sounds when you record directly. So I'm not using any amps. I'm just going direct into Logic. I'll link to that video down below as well. It may be helpful to you. So it goes from there straight into Logic, and then I'm using as my amplifier, I'm using Genome, which you can also watch a full video of Genome up here. It's basically a 2-notes amp and cabinet emulation thing. Now this is just Cali Clean's the default sound. The only thing I did was turn a reverb down a bit because it's got a massive reverb, and I didn't want as much reverb. So it sounds like this. This is just the amp sound. So Fender clean with a little bit of reverb. Now, let's start off with it. And again, there's timestamps for all this stuff, you know, chapter marks and all this stuff. I'm going to start off with running into the amp. So this is now the plugin is in front of the amp. So using it almost like a distortion kind of pedal with some modulation as well. So the default sounds such. So this is the clean sound. Got more volume, but it's fatter too. think it sounds quite nice. It fattens the sound up quite a bit. Now let's look at a couple of presets and then look at the individual effect bits in there. So for example, let's check out the ones that are more guitar, so heavy guitar. So there's a nice bit of distortion to it, but it's not a distortion. It's that sort of tape saturation. It sounds very analog, actually. I used to actually I still have a Porter Studio. It's back there somewhere. And that's one of the things I always like. This you push things hard, and you kind of get that drive. Now let's have a look. Okay, maybe let's have a look at one more preset, and then what about wonky guitars? And then let's look at the actual individual thing. So this is wonky guitar. It is very wonky. Okay, let's go back to default. And let's look at individual things. So let's, for example, look at the grit, right? So grit is on. Let's just turn a grit up and see what happens, right? So this is the sound now. Bypass sounds like this. Now let's turn the gain up, basically, up to 50%. So it's not so much distortion, it's just this sort of saturation. And it makes things fatter and, louder. So let's try to balance the volume. I think it sounds really good. Now let's compare that to cassette. So that's reel to reel. Very different sound. Cassette is sort of thinner, maybe a bit dirtier, whereas reel to reel, almost lo-fi, whereas reel to reel is cleaner, but it's just fat. Let's see, does oversampling make much of a difference? I can't quite put my finger on what it does, but I almost prefer it without. Now, the other thing we can do is we can push the input. Very compressed. Let's crank the input. Quite a different sound. I prefer the reel to reel to be. Okay, well, let's turn that down a little bit again. I quite I mean, I like a bit of grit. I think it sounds pretty cool actually with a bit of grit. Let's give it a little bit of grit. But I mean, we can turn the grit off. Let's just do that. Let's check out the wow, right? Goes pretty mad, yeah. But a little bit of it is quite nice. Maybe let's add a little bit of that grit as well. Has a nice sort of stereoness to it. If I take that off, if you listen to it with good speakers, it has a nice sort of width to it. I quite like that. Okay, let's turn it. Actually, let's turn it off. Let's listen to the flutter. Now, that's sort of a pitch thing. This is, I think, flutter is more of a amplitude, so it's volume modulation. Now, if we combine a little bit of wow with a bit of flutter, I think it's a pretty cool sort of lo-fi kind of sounding thing. And then you can also unblend it a bit, so turn the blend down a bit. I mean, unblend, have it less, not at 100%, but have, you know, clean sound too. Now let's try that, just to hear the difference. Let's try the similar sort of thing, but this is now the instant after. So here we have the width control. So this is now after. So we're going back to the clean. So let's check out the guitar ones again. Distort, what was it? Heavy guitar. Okay, let's check out the same preset in front and after. So this is in front. So if we're going to heavy guitar, so let's put them next to each other. There we go. So The one with the width control is after, the one without the width control is in front. So this is after. So it reacts quite differently. In front, it's very compressed. It feels compressed. Whereas in front, you get that sound, but without the compression. Or less compression. I actually probably prefer it after. No, actually, while at it, let's get rid of the in front. This is after now. Let's try out that sound, but let's increase the width. So it gives you that sort of spread, which sounds really quite nice, actually. Again, good speakers or headphones. Maybe let's push the input a little bit more, but turn the output down a bit. Sounds pretty cool. Now let's try the same thing with Cassette. And having a drive after is quite different too, because it gives you a whole different kind of feel. So I kind of almost prefer it after. Let's now also have a look. Let's just go to another preset. Let's go to the next one, some Tangerine Crunch, just to get something with a little bit more gain, right? Something a bit more drive. Let's turn it off. So this is now just Genome. This is the like a driven sound, slightly driven sound. Again, it's got some studio reverb, it's got a EQ on it, it's got an IR. I mean, this is just, again, just preset, the next preset, right? So we went from default to the next one, not changing anything. Let's now start in front again, right? So let's just go into it again. Let's just see what happens if we now, for example, let's take the wound flutter off. Just push the front of it, right? So let's push the front end. That sounds really good, actually. Let's now introduce a little bit of that wow. push it some more, right? It's coming here up to sort of almost clipping. Let's turn the input gain down a little bit on this, because we don't want to clip things. Let's turn that down. Let's turn the input up. We can also maybe take the blend down a bit just to... I actually like to blend all the way up. That sounds really good. Let's try cassette instead. I like the reel-to-reel. I mean, just adding a little bit of that wound flutter, you may not even hear it necessarily in a mix, but it creates just a little bit of movement and dimension. Okay, now let's try that again after. Just to see what it does if we run it after. So whatever the setting was before. Whoa, okay, let's turn the output down a bit. Hang on, am I peaking the... Yeah, I'm peaking the whole thing a bit. So let's turn the output here down a little bit. Oh. And the output here down a little bit. With the driven sound, I prefer it in front. With the other one, I prefer it after. But that's the thing. I mean, there is no wrong, right or wrong. It's just whatever sounds better to you. This sounds really good. I reckon. And then, I mean, let's add. I don't know. Let's add a delay. Let's add a studio delay. But let's unlink the time and make that quarter note. I mean, that's a great stereo effect. Let's turn that down a little bit more, and let's turn that down a little bit more, because I think I'm starting to peak more and more things. But having that running into it, it sort of widens it, and then having a delay after. It sounds good without it, but then with it, it just has more body to it. Well, I mean, that's a quick look at the Rabbit Tape by Safari Pedals. I think it's a pretty cool plugin for recording. It adds another dimension to your guitar. It gives you a wider sound, a bigger sound, and I'm sure on other things like drums and generally on mix bass or on vocals or all the other stuff. I mean, there's preset for cello. I think it would sound really, really cool. Generally, I've become a fan of Safari pedals. I'll put up a playlist of all these Safari pedal stuff I've done at the end of this video. And yeah, big thank you once again to Safari Pedals for sending this out to me. Let me know in the comments below if there's any other videos with any Safari pedal stuff you want me to do, or combine stuff or anything like that. Comments below. So thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Close to 90% of all our viewers are not subscribed, so if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to subscribe. It does really help out. So thank you so much for watching once again, and see you in the next one. Bye.